You hear me? You hear me? Yeah. You hear me?
Yeah.
All right, cool. Uh, yeah. You hear me now?
Yeah, hearing you.
Yeah, cool. Right, we on. Um,
I forgot my time was 1 hour earlier.
yeah, I had a mind so.
Mhm.
I just really forget it's that time of the month. Yeah. Um, all right. Well, we on. Well, good night.
Good night, sir. How you doing?
How you going? I there. Um, well, the customary question is how the COVID treating you?
How you treating every? I don't know how to answer that,
That question again.
but I'm smiling, so that's a good sign.
It's a good sign. Yeah, was it a much needed vacation or you
No,
know?
but not at all. Not at all. When you wake up one day and all your jobs gone, disappeared in
I
one
hear you.
swoop, it's not good at all.
I hear you. I hear you. I know some people who just work very hard. Some of them thankful for the rest. No?
Yeah, that
Yeah.
you utilize you turn things into a gift.
Yeah. Yeah.
Everything is a gift at the end of the day. You just have to
Mm-hmm.
recognize what's the magic in that. In this dreadness, there's some kind of magic. So
Mm-hmm.
you deal
Understand
with
that.
it as it comes.
A true lyricist, true and true. That is a nice line for a song though.
Yeah.
Um, but I'm trying to type up the graphics that's now there for the live, and I'm trying to type Calypsonian or artist, Calypsonian artist, and not even my head right through. Do you consider yourself a Calypsonian first off?
First of all, I'm an artist.
Artist, right?
Yeah, because I not only sing and write, I paint.
Well, I see that.
I do everything. So artist is the umbrella.
Mm-hmm. And under that, well, under the umbrella, you have Calypsonian and.
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
that takes premiership under the umbrella.
I hear you. I hear you. I hear you. But how is the COVID like treating with you mentally now? Are you staying active and seeing that
Yes,
you can
yes,
travel? Well, I see
yes, I am.
you're drawing now, and I
Yeah.
seen some paintings. Some up. I didn't know used to do artwork and stuff before. Like I saw that you post you did artwork for was funny or
Lord Melody.
Lord Melody. That was the only one that you did.
Yes, for California, yes. I did a
Mm-hmm.
Kitchener one time too, um, but Lord Melody was the main thing.
Mm-hmm.
I got a chance. I was singing chorus for him in the studio for this, and he didn't know what he was going to do for the album. So I
Mm-hmm.
said, Let me do a drawing of you." And the big song on that album was Rasta Man. So
I heard
I
this
put
song.
an image of a Rasta man on his forehead, as he was a bald head, so it was kind of play with the whole thing with Rasta and bald head, So that was a gift again.
That was an interesting song though. I listened to it when
Yes.
they posted. But what was going on at the time when that song was written?
There was a killing of a famous Trinidad had a famous DJ. The most famous DJ was DJ Gabi, and somebody killed him.
Oh.
And the talk was there was a Rasta man with him. And then the idea at that time in Trinidad, people kind of had a strange. They were just introduced to Rastafarianism, so seeing these guys with the hair, they had the idea of these people are dread people, thinking that Rasta was about peace, but people had a kind of reaction to the whole Rasta culture as something, them Rasta on them. So I think Melody just mirrored that by saying it was a Rasta man who killed DJ Gabi. So, be careful how you're moving because you're watching it all, that kind of thing.
Nice. So the journey from Belmont to now where you're residing in Canada. Tell me a little bit about starting off in Belmont as a child. How, what make you decide to venture into being an artist then?
Well, I always could have drawn from as a youth, right? And I could sing too. I always thought I wanted to sing. That's what I wanted to be from the kickstart of my life. So I had an advantage in the sense that some people want to be a fireman, they want to be a police, they want to be a footballer, and then when they get big, they might be a doctor or something or a lawyer. That's your ambition in the society. But I was always very fortunate that I knew exactly what I wanted to do from a very early age, and Belmont was the place to do things like that because it's like I had around me City Kids Steel Orchestra. Right over the fence was Dixieland.
Okay.
Then just a few 100 meters away was Sunland, and then a few 100 meters away was Them Boys, Them Fortunates. We had all the Calypsonians. Lord Beginner was my neighbor.
All right.
Errol Wise, the drummer, he was the leader of a band called the Strollers, a kind of soul singing group. Because we had other those groups in Trinidad, just like they had the Four Tops and Temptations and so on. We had groups like that in Trinidad, Kramer, the Ink Spots, the Sparks, Venus Plus X, and the whole set of it.
I believe my father was part of one of those groups, but I'm not too sure which one. But I know he was part of one of those kind of like you say barbershop quartet kind of vibes.
Right. No, it was more than barbershop, So we used to tour the whole country. It was a thing called the rodeo that was run by a DJ, top DJ in Trinidad called Billy Reese. And Billy Reese used to take us all over Trinidad. There was a group from the song called the Lunatics. Successions. My group was the Solutions, and so on. So we used to tour the islands. We used to go Barbados and tour Barbados, come back before school Monday morning. And that was at an early age,
So there was an active fringe scene outside of the calypso scene back then.
Oh yes.
Because you don't really hear much about that kind of.
It was huge. It was big.
Okay. Yeah. So Belmont was the spot for was like a creative hub, like much like how I guess Woodbrook is now.
Yes.
Okay.
Belmont still is, but Belmont was it's like an open university. All the intellectuals live in Belmont. The great writers like George Lamming from Barbados cut his teeth in Belmont. Derek Walcott, the Nobel Prize winner, Belmont. His headquarters still is in Belmont. So we had Ken Morris, Jason Griffith, the mask maker, Saldina, Pepper Wine Lovelace, who was not just a mask designer. He was also one of Trinidad's greatest footballers. He was like how we have Latapi and York now,
Yeah.
So it had the whole area was just a whole source of knowledge. Right above where I live was the Orisha Yard, and then about a couple 100 yards up the road was the Arada yard, which is similar to Shango, but it's different, it's slightly different. So
Well,
all these
Ajibola
things,
told me about that last week. Yeah.
yeah, had about 30 churches around the circular road alone.
But
So
which part of Belmont you from though?
I'm from Bossia Lane.
Bossia Lane.
Yeah,
Okay, I think I'm familiar with Bossia Lane. Because I just passed through Belmont because I live in Zimbabwe. So I
right.
just passed Belmont side to come. But I live in more up to Laventille side.
My grandmother used to live in Zimbabwe. I used to be in Zimbabwe every day.
Okay. Look at
Yeah.
that. Knowledge.
The Latif family was just 2 houses down from my grandmother, and
All right.
they had the Bata shoe store on Atlantic Road, I think it is.
I know
Right
I know the latter.
right next to the Olympic Theatre, where there's no church.
Okay.
But Granderson's printing, and then the Bata store, the Latif family ran that, So it was all inclusive. You didn't have to leave Belmont to get anything. Everything was right in the Open University.
Yeah. I know somebody was discussing that today how Belmont lacking like a fast food joint or because I just pass through Belmont every day, to come to Zimbabwe, and I don't think it's as we were describing there is a real vibrant thing. I don't think it's happening like that now in Belmont.
No, it's a different place now. It's more like a bed and breakfast kind of place for people who come from out of the country to work in town.
Yeah.
They rent a room, but there was always that element of Belmont. But the old livers could tell you that there was a rhythm to the place. You supported Coles because Coles is the Belmont team. Just football was like the same way how we have the English Premier League now. Leeds United fans will follow. Die Hard would be Die Hard. Manchester United, Tottenham, what have you. Same thing was with Trinidad. We had Maple, Casuals, Shamrock, Sporting Club. Coles was Belmont. Ex-Pro was Belmont. So you had different groups, and you're going whenever your team playing, you're going on the Savannah or the Oval or where to support. That was football is a big deal, just like how it was the Premier League now. It was a small version of that in Trinidad. Where the Savannah stage is now, like the main stage in Carnival, that was the football ground.
Okay.
So people used to watch football from the grandstand, the hoity-toits of them, and then the rest of the people, the masses,
This is what from the ground.
On the ground, right next to the players, talking to them, coaching them while the game going on. It was an instant theater,
So what year did you start? Because I used to do chorus for Calypsonians initially.
Right.
But what year did that start doing? During the 70s?
That was in '70s, mid-'70s, yeah. 70s.
And you decided to move from chorus to actually to the front line. How that transition happen?
Well, I used to travel. I used to travel with my guitar alone and just do my gigs, with the rodeo and so on. But I met Carl Jacobs, who was also had a group. His group was called Flames. We were in competition. We used to have competitions in what's that hotel? Scarlet Iris Hotel.
Okay.
Up in Cureb side there. And we used to always be in competition, who's the best singer, the best group. So we became friends, we were neighbors. And then they were doing chorus work. So I fall into that group, the groove too. So, we were the main chorus group in that era with Patsy Holder, Carl Jacobs and myself. So most of the recordings around that time, it was us singing background vocals, and we kind of learning the craft too as we go along. And sometimes we had to even show a calypso, take this, try this instead of that, So we kind of knew what we were doing. So when people think of it, I just come just so. It's a whole long journey, Sometimes we would go in the studio with Adi Koto. And we're doing 6 albums. And album number 1, 6 o'clock, by 8 o'clock, that finished. Album number 2, sometimes we leave the studio Monday morning. You kind of don't know even what time of the day it is. You're in the studio for a couple of days. Food coming in, you eat, you go back and sing chorus. Sometimes album after album. So by the time that weekend is finished. 6 albums finished. 6 albums on the print and press right behind the studio, out in the stores. That's how fast things used to be.
And that was in Silas.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. Yeah. KNS Studios, and then it turned to Coral later.
Correct. Because I heard about that studio like 5 years ago. I didn't even know that existed.
Yeah, I think they're trying to reuse it,
Okay.
rebuild it. I think it was the first and the only RCS style studio in the island. So it was just 24 tracks, but we used to make do a lot of bouncing and sometimes make it like 30 something tracks. But it's really just a 24 track board. Calypso music had about 60 different tracks, but it was just everything bounced together, like two track tape. And among the things we used to do, sometimes you're on the board, pushing the knobs up and down and pulling it. Now everything is flying faders, everything automated.
Yeah.
But
They had automated faders.
No. I said we used to have to take our line up on the board and push hands and pull back, and then suddenly you turn around one day and you see these knobs moving for themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
But what was the first song that catapulted you from chorus to the front line?
a song called Douglas Woman.
Douglas Woman.
Yeah. But I had done some song before, a song called Mother Earth and Thousands Without Eyes. Mother Earth was a song about, there was a time in Trinidad when a lot of the young men, middle class men mostly, as college boys, they went into the hills of the Northern Range and they cleared Nuff, they were called.
I know you're talking about.
Guy Hayward, Terence Thornhill, Beverly Jones, all those things. So all those people. So Mother Earth was when Guy Hayward got killed. I wrote that song.
Okay. But it seems like your music was always tied to the time.
Yes.
Because I was listening to a lot of these songs and it was always to the political scene of the day. Not necessarily government per se, but politics in general. Whether it was stuff going on in Rwanda or, general things that are going on in the world, which I don't really hear much of these days outside of, political peacock. So in the mid-70s, he was doing chorus and stuff, and this Douglas Woman, he wrote this Douglas Woman, and people started to say, okay, well, you're in the front line now.
Yeah.
How was the 70s? Was the 70s like the premier time for you as an artist, or yeah?
No, it was kind of still going through I was still going through the flames, as we say, learning, finding different ways to express things and so on. So I think the 80s when things started to bubble.
Okay.
The Roots asked me to be a singer with the band because Tambu had damaged his voice or something.
Okay.
So then I started to write with Pelham. He was a good arranger, and I was a good writer. So it kind of worked out well.
Okay. So working with Adi Koto, how was that? Like,
that was a trip. Adi Koto had fire in his mouth, if you want if you know what I mean. He effing, peffing, seffing.
Okay.
You understand? He didn't just make jokes. If you watch how Ronnie McIntosh moves, that is Ronnie. Adi Koto is Ronnie's father.
Okay, right.
So it's like Ronnie with more fire. So you understand, when you go to the studio and looking for adventure.
I hear you.
Calypsonians can't complain because they're afraid after. After used to have the place going, but it was it's all in jest,
But like dealing with production now from back then, like how you used to produce music. As I said, you used to work all day and spend days in the studio. Do you miss those days of that type of production?
Sometimes, But the thing about it is that these days music it's so electronic. It's so pre-programmed, and you take a riff from here and put it here. You don't get a chance to build, like, even a chorus singing is done automated in an automated form.
You sing 4 layers and then you double that.
And you auto tune it and so on, and you can make it perfect. So I miss the fact that we used to layer things the same way,
Mhm.
but it was natural, just voices, and you know.
All right. So working with Adikoto and then coming to and then starting to work with Pelham. How was that? How was working with Pelham, writing and
It was pretty easy, you know. It's pretty easy because Pelham had a lot of experience. As a matter of fact, after the Koto had said, Pelham was like his protege then.
Mhm.
You know, sometimes people come to interview Ati Koto. They say, "No, they come to interview me. Interview Pelham. Them is the fellas who coming up." You know, so Pelham was also very much a studio. I mean, Roots was like the Sly and Robbie of Trinidad.
Mhm.
Most of the soca songs of the late 70s, early 80s, um, Charlie's Roots. The band was backing everybody. You know, it was actually a studio band.
Yeah,
And
I
then
was
some,
reading that.
and
Yeah.
then Charlie said, "I will give you some instruments and you guys could come out on the road as a live band, you know." And hence the reason why the name of the band was Sensational Roots.
Mhm.
And then because of Charlie, this Charlie on the manager said, "Well, since he's giving us all this equipment, why don't we just say thanks by saying calling the band Charlie's Roots?" And that's
Mhm.
why we had that strange name,
Okay.
Charlie's. That's where he got the name from.
It seems so natural now, like
Yeah,
Charlie's
yeah,
Roots.
yeah.
But how was that Charlie's Roots experience? Like with you, Tambu, um, you know, Voze, and how was
It
that
was it
experience?
was it was great. It was great. Just we especially with the Forze and Junior Warwood,
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Yes and Mr. No.
Mr.
You
Yes and
know,
Mr. No, yeah.
so and a lot of the almost I would say 80% of the bands that came out after, or the new
Mhm.
bands, about 80% of them artists passed through Charlie's Roots.
So there was like the beginning band, the base band
Yeah,
for everybody.
everybody learned through Charlie's Roots. You know,
Mm-hmm.
even Farmer Nappy, all of them.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
So like was there a rivalry between like y'all and Chandelier, and was it like a civil rivalry, or it had like real bacchanal in the
No,
scene?
no, no, civil rivalry. Everybody want to blow everybody off
I
the
hear
side,
you.
you know.
And then
But
it
that
had
was it. That was the
was
thing.
with
People used
sound
to come.
system, I think.
Yeah, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
In those days, bands used to work with the whole sound system, speakers, everything, and pile off
Yeah.
a truck, set it up, break it down, move again. You know.
Yeah, I was getting some stories from Robin Imam Shah,
Yeah,
on the setup of the sound systems and stuff like that, and used to be big, you know, sound offs kind of thing.
right.
But that period the bands like the Chandeliers, the Charlie's Roots, I forget who else. Um, I would say Kalian boy. Kalian
Kalian,
had a
Kalian, his roots, Kalian, Chandelier, Fireflight.
Firefly, yes.
Firefly was the band that came to revolutionize the whole scene with a
Mm.
flashy show business kind of thing, you know.
Yeah.
So there was that group. There was Successions with Brass, Nightwind's Rebellion. The whole Trinidad had this bands all over the place. There's a lot of bands, you know.
Yeah, it seems like like we're talking here.
Song
Actually,
Rev,
seems like a real song revolution. I remember song rev. Song rev was with um, I forget who was with song rev, but
Oba, Colin Lucas was the captain.
right, Colin Lucas, right.
Oba, and yeah, Biter, all
Right.
these guys. You know.
Oh, Baita was part of
Song Rev, yeah.
Okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
Um,
everybody. It's something else, you know. Those days was like, I mean, now you have to have, they still have a lot of groups performing and so on, but not as much, it wasn't as organic as in those days, you know.
yeah, it seemed like a real active, active scene.
Yeah,
Um, but like the music has changed, like everywhere else. The music transition from one type or one style to another. The business has also changed. In the sense of the medium now we get music by MP3 by streaming. Um, do you miss the business of music most of
I
all?
miss it. I miss it. I used to look forward to releasing my album in November because everyone who had the children studying in universities overseas used to send the kids a David Rudder album. So I used to look forward to that sometimes. You know, in those days, sometimes you could sell 20, 30,000 copies, of an album. The last time that happened was with the album with High Mass. It sold almost 70,000 in Trinidad, which was a kind of, for the size of a country, if that was, say, like America, that would have been like 40, 50 million copies sold, I guess, for one, And then the next year, everybody started to have it on tape. They started with that. It's on tape. I have it on tape, I have it through the tape. And then somebody bought a CD for me. That was the next stop. And then now suddenly you have to put out this record and just hope for the best. Because somebody got with it already.
Because I never get to experience that era you're talking about.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I experienced the era of buying CDs and not so much records, but the put it on a tape for me was, I think, like when I was young.
Yeah. And everybody, when I was growing up, everybody in Trinidad, they had a Sparrow in the kitchen in the house. But everybody had a radiogram. And they must have the latest Sparrow in the latest kitchen. Then it moved on as things get better. Everybody, all the artists could have the thing on tape. They could sell the record shops and so on. And then after the CD thing, then that was it. Everybody started burning and things and so on.
And the fellas on the street started to sell music and that kind of thing. But
yeah.
I remember specifically there was a fight, like a dread fight against the piracy stuff.
Yeah, I mean, if you imagine, this is what it is. Imagine you plant a garden, and the week that you're supposed to reap this garden, you see about 6 men on the next fence sitting down with a cookers bag on their lap, watching you to see when you leave. And by the time you leave there, all your hard work, 6 months of hard work, planting that garden, gone. And everybody's saying, but they had to live too. And that is when you kind of say, but that kind of logic kind of weird. Because if we spending $70,000 to do an album, and a man waiting to just copy it for you and sell it at a cut rate price,
I'm telling
if you could even rationalize that being justified, the society in real trouble,
Did that get you despondent at all? Like,
yeah, it depressed a lot of people because suddenly you can't, you don't have the money to make a next record again. So then I used to do an album every 9 months. Every 9 months you expect a delivered album. After that time I started doing every 2-3 years, I'll put a set of songs together. Because you don't have the money to pay musicians again, So you kind of like had it, okay, I get a little bit from this, I'll save a little bit here, I'll put on a single maybe or 2 songs, as opposed to I'm gonna do a 15-song album and go in the studio and do a 15-song album, but it's no longer like that again.
So I kind of understand now why, how you would feel that way now, because I never experienced the period of like this big, renaissance of music and selling, at least it could sell at 1,000 records at a certain amount of time. It still could, it still could eat, you know what I mean?
Yeah. I remember one time, some people, agents from COT went to and hold a pirate in town and take him to the station and say, well, this is performing music belonging to our artists and so on. And the fella called, can I call the officer for me, please? The policeman who in charge of the pirate asking the junior officers at the desk to call Inspector so-and-so for them. So the right away you kind of say, he trying to pull around with it because he know the inspector. Your case almost there already. So you kind of, when you get these things happening to you, you kind of say, how to survive this? You want to get the music out to people, but you want to kind of get something from it too, If it becomes a hit or a radio hit or so, or a DJ hit, maybe it might make a little change, but maybe, you know.
So now the power now is on the DJ.
Yeah. So it went through all these phases. Not
Phases.
not 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 better, but
Yeah.
it's just the way that's the way it is. That's
So
the way
let
of
me
the
take it.
life.
Let me take it back a little bit. 1986, right? That was your year.
Right.
What did this happen that year, and why it didn't happen in 1987, or why did it happen in 1985? What was so specific about 1986 that Bahia Gale and it was Calypso music that year?
Yeah. No, the hammer.
The Hammer, right? The Hammer and Bahia Gale. What happened in 1986? What was so
Well,
special about
things travel in decades, yeah. And I think it was just at that point where people were looking subconsciously for something different, and I happen to have it.
Okay.
That's all that happened there.
I heard stuff that you was signed or was supposed
So
to be signed at that
yes,
point in time.
I was signed to London Records, and then Sire Warner Brothers in America. But and it was doing things were going good, except when the British DJ, I was getting airplay on Radio One, which is once you're on Radio One, you're basically gone clear. But the song was Madness, and somebody in the BBC said, "Did he say weed?" They like that kind of hair couldn't come from
Come
weed.
from weed here.
And by the no on the BBC, the song got pulled off the air one time. So it's a funny the same way. I stepped in on the stage at 86 with the right ingredients for the change that people are looking for. It's the same way a word in a song changed my whole, changed the direction.
Because I was listening to the song yesterday, and I was listening to Madness, and I was saying, was that an actual party? Like, was
No,
that,
ma,
or
ma,
was it
ma, it was the society, Trinidad society.
at the same time?
I was just observing people, everybody going mad. The French Creole thing, the country going to the oil rock bottom, the country going to the cleaners, which was a bad thing for the Robinson government. I remember that time because oil went to $12 a barrel. So everybody losing their work. So everybody realized, rich, poor, everybody were in the same boat. All of we mad. People going off. People it's like how this COVID thing have people going off. We all mad. So I just saying like the French Creole lost his work. He and a union man hugging up, singing "This is nothing." Gas station Gene was like that's Gene Miles.
Gene Miles, right?
I put her as like a kind of beacon inside the whole wretchedness of this situation. She was saying, "Listen, it still has people who are willing to fight." So it's a very political song, but it's covered in a. You can just take it as a fet.
That's a beautifully written song.
Yeah.
That's a beautifully written song because I listened to it and like it touched on everything at the time.
Yeah.
Like we at that I wouldn't understand what was going on at that time, but I could go back to that song and say, right, this was happening at this time.
Yeah.
And that was at this time.
You record the moments as we go along. So you can say if so and so sing that in 1940, this is what was going on in 1940. Yeah.
And there was the period of the 80s when you wrote these two songs. What was your headspace? We see new songs, boy. Another Day in Paradise and Madman Chant. They have a kind of, I would say, rap, hip hop kind of feel.
Yeah, rap. So it's a kind of rap. So the thing about it is that the tongue was getting worse and worse. Madman ran the last man in society expected to tell you something that gave hope. Is the lowest man in society who's the madman on the street. And he and all saying, I have been hit, but no time to give up, brother, no time to quit. So even it just saying, if he could say that, if he in that wretched state that he in could handle life like that, who is me, And Another Day in Paradise is just the way tongue was going. That is what was happening in Trinidad at that time. And it keeps, nothing really changed because Madman Rand is 30-something years old.
Mm.
That song is about 30 something, about 32, 33 years old, and it's still relevant today.
Yeah.
Still people still, it's like a new song. Some people grow on. If you're 30 now, that's almost 2 years before you born.
Yeah.
But it's still relevant.
To me, for me, like watching the music video and seeing it actually filmed in Belmont in the Planets there,
Yeah,
yeah, that did something for me because you wasn't seeing that kind of imagery in the
yeah,
sense of from Calypso now.
yeah,
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 Calypso was this thing that you watch on the Masquerade night
yeah.
and but seeing that video and seeing youths, some youths that I knew are from around,
I know that. Yeah, they're from the planet. So
Yeah, I know
it's
because I used to. There's a smaller I used to check in the Planets day.
right.
Um,
And yeah,
so I know some of the guys from around now.
yeah.
So we used to see them on the video, and I was like, hey, this real cool boy for Calypso. And again, because we used to watch this Calypso as this old people thing, And these two songs, I could particularly remember, it was in a vein of rap, so which was somewhat popular at the time. But who produced those two songs, though?
I did.
Was it
I
Chacha?
did. Yeah, yeah. Huh?
You did the production for those two songs?
Yeah. I usually do most of the production in my song. Like like Parameter was a range, great arranging of horns and
Mm-hmm.
bass and so on and so on. But basically, even when I worked with that was done. That was done with Wayne Bruno actually. Wayne Bruno
Mm.
so after Roots had disbanded and I had gone my way.
Mm-hmm.
Wayne was the produced most of my songs after that. So,
Um,
but that style of double kick and step, but to pa, pa,
yeah,
to pa, pa, to. That's how I could. That's my signature rhythm.
mm.
That's the way I hear things. I
Okay.
call it heartbeat rhythm because the first thing I hear when I was in my mother womb was so I put it. That's what I call the heartbeat rhythm, and most of my songs is that style, the double
Nice,
kick.
nice. The Baptist influence on the music, um, like I was listening to High Mass, another High Mass. There was another song I was listening to that had a prayer in it. Can't remember the name right now, no? But what made you add that let's say gospel influence or that religious element to the music? Um, as
I
cause,
reflect. I reflect everything that's around me in society.
Mhm,
If you take again look back to Belmont, steel bands influenced me. Calypsonians, Lord Beginner was right around the corner. The athletes, Edwin Roberts, the Trinidad uh, bronze Olympic medalist, all of them, we all live in the same street. China Rose, top sprinter. So it was just and all the churches, every Pilgrim Holiness around the corner, Catholic, Anglican,
mhm.
Jehovah Witness, this, that, church after church after church after church, Mormon, this. So I grew up with all these things. So like everything I write is based on the environment that shaped me.
And the song, it shaped the sound as well in
Yeah.
regards to the music and
High
the.
Mass was more like a challenge to the Catholics who felt that they couldn't go and take a little chip in the road because and the song is basically saying you have to do nothing out of the way, but go out on the street and enjoy yourself with the rest of the people.
Mhm.
That's the message of that song, really.
Okay, but is there any song that you have written that you thought would have been more popular with the people, but it wasn't? Like you wrote, because you have several albums. Not every song was like to say was a hit per se, a radio hit. But there's any song that you wish that people would have taken gravitated more to, or and vice versa. Some song that took off and you were shocked that it took off the way it did. Okay, internet problems. We can wait for the boss to come back. Yeah. I'm hearing you. There having some technical issues here. This is not happening here. This is madness. Seems like we lost him. I wonder if I could play some music without Facebook taking it down by. Yeah, so this has been interesting so far. I've learned some things that he also does production and the boy band scene was a scene. Um, and other little tidbits. So, I mean, these guys are a wealth of knowledge and history. Hopefully, he comes back. We'll see. We'll give him another 5 minutes and see how it goes. Uh, ba, 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 da, da, ba, ba, da, ba, da, ba, da, da.
Yeah.
Yeah. I hear anybody senior. I don't know. Bro.
You're saying everyone can see you on here. Let me try again. I think we're around the juice. That's what happened.
Yeah. Okay. Um, I was just asking. Yeah.
I don't know what's happening,
But no problem. I mean, once we end, yeah,
all right,
it's
good.
fine.
No problem.
Once we end, yeah, it's fine. Um, so I was asking you about songs that you have written as a songwriter, and you was wondering why it didn't take with the people as it should, or as you think it should, and vice versa. Songs that took off that you never thought people would have gravitated to. Do you have any of those kind of songs?
I just write them, yes, and sometimes you have expectations for all your songs, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
But there are certain ones that you know once you hear them, like "By Your Girl" is one,
Yeah.
High Mass is one too. Songs like that, you kind of know before. They can't be stopped.
Mm-hmm.
The others, like sometimes, but music is like luck and chance in a lot of ways. It's like the Haiti album.
Mm-hmm.
That came out after the Calypso music album, and
Mm-hmm.
people say, well, after '86, a lot of people saying, well, he really can't come again. He can't come again. That was a fluke, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So then after Calypso music, they kind of say, like, songs like Permission to Marshall the Place and all that. Maybe he have something. So by
Mm-hmm.
the time, so then the energy from that there's a little bit of doubt about me. And I wrote this album, and it just so happened that everything fell. Sometimes things fall into place. Like you don't understand how it happened,
Mm-hmm.
but it happened. It's like so I put the album out, and 2 weeks after the album was out, they overthrow Baby Doc in Haiti, Papa Doc's son.
Yeah.
So the whole tongue started to play Haiti, I'm sorry. Right?
So timing.
And then in December, that was in October, late October, early November. In December, Manuel Noriega challenged George Bush Sr., American troops to come inside and come and see what would deal with all here. So the Americans sending some troops, and that was the end of Noriega. So Panama started to play.
Right.
Right.
So it wasn't written after. It was
No.
written kind of.
Both songs, Haiti was written before, and then as soon as 2 weeks after the album release, they kick out the Baby Doc. And then a couple of weeks after, the Americans overthrow Manuel Noriega. And so everybody started to play Panama. All the pan sides that year for Panorama, about 80% of the bands probably play Panama. Right? So much so that I remember Selwyn Tara that used to write for the Guardian. He said, "This is not Panorama, this is Panamarama." You know. So then in January, the DJ started playing Bacana Lady, and just after Carnival, cricket started, and they started playing Rally. So within a 4-month period, all these songs on maximum rotation. Because they kind of like, they say that this album is a zombie album, right? And then, excuse me, Phil Simmons loved the Engine Room.
The Engine Room?
Right. So within a couple of months, I had 5 songs on the album on the top of the charts, you know? So these things don't happen just every day, you know? That's one of the strange things about music and feel and how things run for you in his life, you know. It's just kind of mystic.
So the 80s was definitely a good period for you.
Yeah.
80s,
90s.
80s, 90s.
Yeah.
So some people saying hi there in the chat. So you and Kali, so y'all been friends since, I guess, since y'all were teenagers? Or
Yeah,
y'all
we've been friends for a long, long time. Yeah.
long time.
We started off by watching one another Katai because we in rival bands, you know. But we ended up very close, and it's like family now. It's like family.
Yeah, well, I see that, you know, Kaiso Blues and, you know, the whole vibe there, you know what I mean? I mean, you kind of get me into the door to talking to Kali too. So I was going to give thanks for that. When you was growing up, is there any Calypsonian that mentored you? Or like,
not directly. Because we used to listen to Calypso on the radio all the time. We had 2 radio stations, Radio 610 and Radio Trinidad.
Yeah, I remember.
So all you could hear on those radio stations are what they give to you, right? So you hear the same way I could hear Zandoli and or Melody or Sparrow or Kitchener or Blakey, you know. You could hear Small Island Pride or King Fighter, you know. So it was Short Shirt, you know. Shadow come. Everybody we used to be talking about this. I found a name Shadow. That man's music, vibe different, boy, different, you know. And so said, so done. Shadow take over, you know.
Yeah, Shadow. To me, Shadow and yourself was kind of the 2 artists that I looked at and say, yes, this is definitely something I could get into. You know, I mean, in sense of the art form, like this is the Calypso I could vibe with, you know.
Yeah. I'll give you a story too. We were in the studio doing the band Roots was in the studio to be backing some artists, doing some recordings. And Romy, who had a record shop in Trinidad, in town, brought this guy in the studio. So he said, well, when we finish recording, we'll hear what he had to say. So after I can't remember what we were working on, but then we stopped. But I'm saying, let me hear what he had to say. So Romy said, Well, tell the man where I have now. So Pelham say, he said, what is your name? He said, everybody's call me Blue Boy. So Pelham said, how you get that name? So he said, well, I used to work on a boat, and because my complexion was so dark, they used to say, you ain't black, you're blue.
Blue.
So right? So that's so he said, let me hear what you have to say. And from the time the first verse and chorus go on, I remember Ellis Chowdhury, the Roots manager, called me outside. He said, Skipper, he used to call me Skipper, come now, you go outside with it. So I go outside here. Skipper, that man bad. I say, you telling me? This thing will be trouble. We record that same night. Soca Baptist.
Right.
You know?
You did chorus on Soca Baptist, yes?
I sung chorus with Patsy Holder. And I also had the responsibility of ringing the bell. Down in the back of the studio, because that studio was huge, So we, and then he started to do this and so we drop in a
Baptist.
Next thing, we used to a week. That record put that on the print one time, and so that's print records, 33s. Gone clear one time. That was the end of that.
Yeah, so him perform could be about it was in New Kaiso Blues, so it could be 2 years ago in Kaiso Blues, and he still had that energy.
Yeah.
That energy. One of the greatest performers of the art form. So you give me some history there, but I didn't know that is with the genesis of the name, which is kind of messed up when I think about it. Blue Boy, Super Blue.
I remember Keith Smith, the journalist, always say, why he changed the name to Super Blue? Blue Boy was always a better name, as a art, Keith Smith like Blue Boy. I remember he always write about that. But I guess he wanted to say, look, this is one stage of my life.
You wanted to
leap into a different phase now, so it's Super Blue now,
Like I remember years ago, after a Vaughan Bigfoot show, I spoke to Professor Fillmore. Right, I think that was the first time I spoke to him, and I asked him this question. I said, "Do you ever get tired of performing?" Because he's a guy who used to gig a lot, and he said nobody ever asked him that question, and he was so perplexed. And he said, this is why this is why I love, and I don't know how to do anything else. Do you ever reach the point where I am I doing this so long, and do you ever get fed up of or tired of the music?
Nah. I'm a bit tired of traveling. Sometimes you land and you leave at 4 o'clock in one place, and you arrive 2 o'clock the next day somewhere else, or 2 o'clock 2 hours earlier. Even though you have traveled for 6-8 hours, time zones and getting up and landing and customs and immigration, and let me see what you have. That part of it is even that I'm thankful for, because that means it's still working.
Yeah.
But you wish you could kind of reach a stage where you could just settle and play whenever you want to play.
Right. I understand that. Well, this was a good interview. I mean, I had some more stuff, I had here, like fatherhood and doing music and dealing with family and children and how
that could be a next interview.
That's a whole thing by itself. But this was I learned a lot tonight, in sense of I didn't know a lot of the little nitty-gritties of the Calypso history. And you seem to a man who have a lot of history, not just of the music but the place itself.
Yeah.
And I think the place really need a Calypso museum or some sort of, these things should be documented more,
Yeah.
I mean, I could sit down and listen to you and fuss, tell stories whole day of times gone by and the music and the history of the place. Because we listen to the music sometimes and we don't know exactly what went on at that time. And it's nice to know, tell the story. So, I mean, thanks for
Not a
indulging
problem.
me.
Thank you. Yeah, man.
You know what I mean?
Anytime.
Yeah, and yeah, the man is always look out for me. Um, you know what I mean? So I always appreciate that vibes. You know. So thanks for the music.
Thank you.
Thanks for the experience and thanks for the history. Yeah.
Thank you for having me here
Yeah, man.
to
Yeah,
be able
man.
to be able to talk about it. You know.
Yes. I hope we get to see you perform in the flesh soon. you
Yes. Yes.
know.
Yeah.
All right. So yeah, man.
You
Yes,
take
thanks.
care.
Yeah, yeah. You take care too, man.
Be well. You and your family.
Yes, thanks. Yeah. So got that one out of the bag, and I would like to say thanks to everybody for tuning in. This is the, I would say, the final episode, but I might have a surprise for y'all, soon for the season of Talk the Things Them. And we'll start off January fresh. Thanks to everybody for indulging me in this COVID times, and just trying to stay sane and trying to stay active, because we just get despondent a bit. Yeah, so thanks to David for tuning in, and thanks for you for tuning in. Just remember this Saturday, the 28th, I'm doing in the living room live right here. The details will be on my wall. You can check that out. You can check johnsquared.com for the information. So yeah, peace, love, and doubles. Love all you.